Hey everybody. Thought I'd give you a bit of, I guess you could say, read some entries from some people, some journal entries if you will, rants, as well as give you a bit of Sonic news for today, the 9/11/2012. They check out my window because I don't know when my nephew will be dropped off, if he is. But I thought I'd hit you with a bit of Sonic news. Now, as we all know, for a couple of years now, ever since Silver was introduced into the gaming franchise, and then later on into the comic book franchise of Sonic, the main story has always been in the comic portion of the franchise for Silver is trying to find out who the traitor is to his timeline. Basically, who is the traitor that caused his timeline to become what it is. Well, I recently received word from Reese Tales over at DeviantArt, who I think is also a member of the Bumble King forums, and he informed me that Sonic Universe 44, which is apparently the end of the Secret Freedom Fighters arc, kind of reveals that there is 3 out of the 4 original fighters that are likely suspects to be the traitor. Now, I went to Bumble King forums and I read about it, and apparently Antoine, because of his injuries, is crossed out, which leaves 3 more. Now, we don't see the other 2 being crossed out, leaving only 1 suspect. But pretty much, a lot of people have already figured who it could be. And if you're saying, let me guess, it's Sally, then you're correct. A lot of people are assuming right now that it's Sally because of her situation. Now, a lot of people have also said that it wouldn't be, they're not surprised it would be Sally because she is an unwilling traitor. In other words, she's not necessarily a traitor, but she's unwillingly doing things that she normally wouldn't do because of her predicament right now. Now, believe it or not, there are some that kind of disagree. You go to the Bumble King forums, there are some that disagree that Sally is not the traitor and that it could be Sonic or Rotor, or perhaps this whole situation's a red herring and it could be somebody out of left field or right field. Some are even saying that they still believe it could be Tails. I know you're thinking, well, that's far-fetched, isn't it? That'd kind of be playing into the other M situation with Ian Flynn. That might be true, but you got to remember one thing about Ian Flynn and about any kind of a comic book writer or media writer of any kind. Their job is to keep you guessing and to throw you off course. Ian Flynn knows exactly what he's doing sometimes. Now, I'm pretty sure, and I'm not trying to defend the man here, trying to defend the guy here, but out of respect, I feel that he pretty much knows that everybody's going to point the fingers at Sally because of her situation. You know, he's pretty much guessing that we know that that's the obvious choice. Now, if he goes through with it and says that it is her, then hey, I have to agree with some other people. He has to do a better job at, not making it too obvious. But again, that's the whole situation. One thing I've noticed about Ian Flynn that I will address here is that whether you like the guy or not, he always figures out there are times when he'll know and he'll figure out that the fan base is going to pretty much have an idea of what's what and what's what and who's who, and pretty much in their minds figure out exactly the answer to the question. So in other words, he pretty much knows, Ian Flynn, in my opinion, knows that everybody's going to guess it's Sally. So don't be surprised that that's not revealed, because apparently 247 is supposed to be when we're going to find out who the traitor really is. So don't be surprised if it's not Sally. And there's a lot of people that have said that too. Some have said that it can't be Sally, it's too obvious. And that's the truth. So if it's Sally or not, it's totally up to what Ian Flynn decides. They said, Silver in the comics has already ruled Sonic out of the equation before. He's fought Sonic and has already ruled him out of the equation. But let's not forget something. That took place before the timeline or whatever was reset by Eggman, before the planet was reset by Eggman, if you will. So that all right there could be out the window, and Silver could be like, well, wait a minute. You know, I thought he wasn't the traitor, but he is the traitor? What's going on? You know, so you got to remember that. Keep that in mind. The Genesis situation will probably make a play in here somehow. Now, the other choice, of course, is Rotor. Now, we don't know about Rotor's situation, if he would be the traitor. Some would say that's unlikely that he would be, because what motivation does he have? Now, we don't know what the motivation would be, but it's got to be something. Now, again, some people have actually come out and said, well, if it is Sally that's the traitor, then maybe Ian will write it in to where Silver realizes, well, wait a minute, she's roboticized. She has no control over what she does. So in other words, she's not really a traitor. She's just a victim of Eggman's roboticization. So, you know, there's that right there. But, you know, that is what's going on right now, according to what Reese Tales, and if you go to BumbleKingForums.com in the message board side of Mobius section, that's what they're saying there. And it's up to anybody. It's up in the air, basically, when it comes to those three. But again, you got to remember, Eggman reset the world. So anything that happened prior to that still did happen, but maybe some of those things have changed. So you got to keep that in mind too. Now, and that's a bit of Sonic news right there. Also a little bit of Sonic news as well, sort of Sonic news. There's an anime parody coming out, I guess in Japan, which is supposed to be a parody version of the console wars between Nintendo and Sega. Go figure. But yeah, that's the parody war. I can't think of the name right now, but that is obviously being put into development and will be airing in Japan and maybe soon here in the U.S. We don't know when, but it's supposed to be a parody of Sega versus Nintendo. And you pretty much look at they already got the character sheets of who's who and everything, so you pretty much have an idea of who portrays who, you know, in this anime. Now, speaking of Sonic, I mentioned this before in a video, but I'll mention it again. Word is, thanks to Wikipedia, now I don't know if you can believe Wikipedia or not, Sonic SatAM is going to be coming to this TV in the next 4 to 5 weeks. Basically what that means is, according to Wikipedia, October 1st is supposed to be the start date, but I looked online, and this is one site that has a listing, as they say, the lineup for Monday through Friday. And there's no Sonic SatAM on either one of them. Now, they said the weekend schedule is to be determined. So my estimation, my thought process is, it's got to be the weekend. If we don't see them here, if we don't see it either on Monday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday and Thursday, then it's got to be the weekend. But we don't know that yet. All we know is that was the lineup they looked at. All I saw was 7 to 9. I didn't see anything that said 6 o'clock. So if it's still the weekend, then it's 6 o'clock, obviously, and it looks like it might be an hour's worth. But I don't know. I really don't know. So, yeah, that's apparently what's going on there as far as Sonic news goes. And as far as we know that All-Stars Transformed is going to be coming in the next month or so with different rosters for the different consoles. That's all I know right there. And also, apparently, Danica Patrick's going to be in the One-Shot Universe issue 45 adaptation, or at least you could look at the previews of 44. At the end for it, it's like, okay. But now, that's about it for Sonic news. Let's talk about, because it's going to